Hello, fellow captains, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are on leg number 4 of the California Dreams bush trip, flying the Cessna 208 Caravan from Catalina to the Sea Ranch. This leg will take us from Baker to Shoshone, and let's go ahead and hop into the cockpit. As you can see, this is the overall route that we've been taking so far. We are out in the desert, trying to make our way all the way around and over there to the Sea Ranch on the left side of the map. So hopefully this will load very quickly. We can get our GPS and instruments and all of that stuff set up, get up into the air, and have a nice, pleasant flight. That wasn't too bad. So let's hop into here. Oops, get my brakes. Try not to do that. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat is not cooperating, but let's look at the flight plan. Looks like. Let me scroll down and look at this a little bit more. So we are currently heading to POI 14, and I can't tell. Oh, come on. Yeah, it looks like we want to go to that one. So let's do that. Yeah, I really wish that they would update these to where they actually worked the way that they're supposed to, but unfortunately they don't, so it is what it is. Get our altitude set to, what? We'll do 3,500 feet for now. Seems to be a relatively good height for the flight here. Get our vertical speed set to 1,200 feet per minute. Get our nav mode set to that. Get our CDI set to the GPS there, so that ideally we can take off and get out of here. Get our flaps set down to 1, get our throttle up to full, turn off the brakes, and off we go. A little bit of a jerky takeoff there, but still trying to figure out the smoothness of that. Let's go ahead and get our autopilot turned on. That should get us right on course for where we're trying to go. Get our nav mode turned on. Okay, so we're climbing up to 3,500 feet. GPS is following the nav mode. Let's get our flaps retracted so we're not driving too slow there. And away we go. So what we do is as we're heading towards the waypoint, I'm going to read off the information for it, so that way as we're approaching it, you can see what's happening. We're close enough to it that I'm going to go ahead and read it now. Just north of Baker Airport lies the Dry Silver Lake. So that is this up here that we're flying over basically right now. Then we're going to turn off a little bit to the right and head off to the next waypoint, which according to this is 10 miles away. Shouldn't take us too long to get to it. Overall flight time appears to be about 15 minutes, so that's not going to be too shabby. And especially once we get up to the altitude and we level off and we get our speed up, it shouldn't take us very long at all. So I tried to be a decent tour guide for these flights here, and can keep you guys engaged and interested. I don't want to put any cuts on these videos because you're going to miss out on all the terrain and stuff. Feel free to go ahead and skip forward if you're not interested in that part and you just want the points of interest. But ideally, you guys are here for the flight and not necessarily... I mean, I can't imagine anybody pops into a flight simulator video expecting it to be action-packed. I certainly hope that's not the case. I get a lot of, the flight sim videos are not doing anywhere near as well as some of my other content, and part of that's probably because it's a relatively new series, and then the other part of it is just I don't know, the audience for that is a little bit different from the stuff that I have for the other things that I've been doing, so I don't know. I'm gonna give it some time. We'll see if it picks up the pace. Hopefully we get enough people watching this to justify continuing. I feel like if we don't get enough people by the end of this bush trip that are interested in continuing on, then may reconsider doing this as a series. I may be forced into going back to DCS again, but realistically, I don't want to do DCS without being able to do it in VR, and my system just does not perform well in VR with any kind of reasonable graphics settings. If I could ever get to the point where I can upgrade my system and do that, I'll probably get really heavy back into the DCS stuff. But for now, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I really don't like doing it in 2D mode because the experience in VR is just really cool, feeling like you're actually in the jet and you're looking around, and you know, it's a different experience. Obviously, this game in VR would probably be very much the same thing, but it's not really necessary. You don't need to look at the ground a lot. You don't need to look at specific things a lot. You don't need to have that precision head tracking that you need in DCS. So I don't necessarily feel the need to play this game in VR. You're mostly looking for panoramic views anyway, and VR doesn't really make that much of a difference when it comes to looking at terrain like this. I mean, obviously, it's nice to have the depth perception, but for the most part, everything is so far away when you're looking at it that it doesn't really matter, and you're more just trying to experience that feeling of flight. All right, we're about 5 miles out from our next waypoint, so let's go ahead and read that. Smaller than Silver Lake, this dry lake bed lies just to the south of Death Valley. So that's kind of, we're right around the Death Valley area. I don't know about you guys, but there's something about flying out in the desert that's just really peaceful. I feel the same way when I'm driving out in the desert, I think. It's mostly because there's just nothing around, so you don't feel like there's any kind of passage of time. Like, I know the day continues on, and you eventually notice that, oh, it's later in the day right now, but there's something about an empty, barren kind of wasteland like this that just makes you feel disconnected from everything. I don't know. I mean, I was stationed in 29 Palms for over 4 years. I don't necessarily want to go back and live in it again, but there's just something about the desert that's just timeless, I guess. I guess that's kind of the word I'm looking for. I don't really know. I'm mostly just trying to come up with stuff to say. Try to keep the episode moving along for you guys. Don't really have anything to talk about today. Try to keep you guys looking around the scenery over here. I know I tend to get fixated on points out in front of me. It's always good every once in a while to just kind of take a look around and see what everything looks like. Watch the traffic go by. Sucks to be those guys. Alright, so 13, almost about 14 miles to the next destination. Looks like we're flying down this valley. I like the clouds. I like the puffy clouds that we have right now. That's pretty nice. In previous videos that I did, I would do time lapses where I had music playing in the background and all of that kind of stuff, but I really don't want to do video recording. Yeah, I think that's. I think one of the biggest, like these long periods of silence. I think this third video series where I really have to like talk a lot and without any kind of breaks is probably just not sustainable. I'm sitting here trying to force myself to talk, and it's just not. It's just not. It's just not happening. 'Cause I don't really have much to talk about. And I'm also kind of tired today. I'm really struggling to be motivated right now. I don't know. you go through these periods of your life. You go through these little mini periods, like days, a couple of days, or maybe even just a single day, where you're having an off day, and you can't really force yourself to get into the spirit of things. And you know, I know in general this video series would do better if I made different decisions for it, but I really don't want to have to sit down and do a bunch of video editing every time I do these. It's really like, and I don't want to put big cuts in it, because then you guys aren't going to see any of the scenery. You're just going to have snapshots of us reaching a waypoint, and then that's it. Like, I read off a thing, and then it teleports to the next thing, and then it teleports to the next thing, and then it teleports to the next thing, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like a good way to go. But then at the same time, if I don't put any kind of editing at all into it, you get long periods of silence, or you just hear me rambling on about stuff that is mostly has nothing to do with the flight. Which seems to work okay for my Elite Dangerous stuff and my trucking stuff, because there's enough visual change going on while I'm talking to kind of keep the old stimulations going. But for this is way too slow paced to be interesting without something else going on. And I've gotten to the point where I'm tired of messing around with trying to find copyright-free music and things like that, because too many of them say that they're not copyrighted, but then I get flagged with copyright notifications and stuff, and I'm trying to get these videos monetized, and people are making it hard by putting copyright on their stuff. And I don't know. I don't get it. I know that artists need to make their money and all of that, but if you're going to put copyright free on the video, don't put a copyright claim on it. You're making it very difficult for people who need to just have some background music in their videos to, process their stuff. It wouldn't bother me if they didn't label it as copyright free. I wouldn't use it. But if they label it as copyright free, and then I'm getting notifications on my videos, well, that's not really helping me. So it looks like the GPS is going to have us swing out to the right and then back around, so I'm not really sure what's off at the next waypoint. I don't think, did I read this one? We're going to POI 16. All right, so located at the southern end of Death Valley, the Ibex Dunes are some of the remote sand dunes. I think it's probably trying to say some of the most remote sand dunes in the United States. I think that's what they were trying to say. I'm not really sure. So here's the dunes. Can't really see anything, but I'm guessing those are the dunes there. It looks kind of like a little mini ridge of sand and stuff. I think we're okay at this altitude. We seem to be above most of the stuff that's over here. We may have to climb when we come back around, though, because the GPS is taking us. It looks like we can see over here that the altitude is going to be pretty high compared to where we are now, and we're already kind of close to the ground here. So we will end up, as we come over here, probably having to climb up 1,000 feet, maybe 2,000 feet to get over this when we come over to it. But we'll see once we get over there. How many waypoints do we have for this one? Oh, okay. So, is that our? Oh, this is the airport that we're landing at. Okay, so this is a really short flight. I'm gonna go ahead and read this off because we're so close to it, and then we'll get ready for our landing. Turn to the northeast and follow State Route 127 to the town of Tekapa and Grimshaw Lake, a small wetland. And then, yeah, it's a nice little paved runway. Hopefully it will be very easy to spot, so we'll minimize that. Head off towards this waypoint. I guess we're not going to have to worry about climbing because we're landing over there. It's nice to be in a plane that goes relatively fast. So imagine trying to do this flight in a Cessna. If you'd be going at half the speed, it would take twice as long. There are bush trips, though. There's a European bush trip that's in the Cessna 172, and fortunately, the high population areas have a lot more going on, so you end up having waypoints that are closer together, and ideally the flights are a little bit shorter overall to compensate for the fact that you're traveling relatively slow. So unfortunately, because of the resolution that I'm able to fly at and the fact that, you know, it's hard to pick things out at a distance, I don't see the runway yet. I think it might be this over here. That looks kind of dark and relatively straight, but I don't have, you know, you can only anti-alias so much at 1080p, so I don't know. It looks like it could be. It might be this here. It might be up here. I'm not sure. Yeah, it says it's at the end of this little valley area. So yeah, it's actually probably up here. It'd be nice if the airport lighting would show up a little bit, like show up right now. Like if I could see the beacon light for it, that would be nice. It might even be up in here. It's hard to tell. Because there's a little outcropping here, which might be this here, but I'm not sure. It's hard to gauge distances in this game without the depth perception. So, but we're coming up here. We're going to take a left turn, which will take us off in this direction. And unfortunately, this doesn't give me the roads, so I don't really know. It would be nice if they had highways on here. I have all the deep. Oh wait. Oh, it's just okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, this is going to turn us straight towards the airport, so I'm actually going to pull back on the throttle some, so we can start slowing down. And then this looks like it's going to pretty much line us up with the runway. I still don't see I still don't see it though. The problem is that it's a single paved landing strip, so it's going to look like part of the road until we get pretty close to it. Okay. Let's get this autopilot turned off. I still don't see it. It's telling us that we're basically straight on with it, though. What does this say? Parallel to the road. Parallel to some buildings, or it's near some buildings, but I don't see any buildings yet, so I don't know. It's telling me that we're relatively close to it. It's basically telling me that we're right on top of it. I still don't see it. Okay, I think maybe I see it now. I think this is it right here. Okay. I'm actually going to get my second level of flaps out now. A little bit too fat, a little bit too high.
500.
Still too high. Come on, bring it down. flaps are all the way down because this is a relatively short field. Oh, wow, okay, that was... I felt like there was some kind of optical illusion with the ground there, because for some reason I felt like I was much higher than I was. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the flight. Be sure to click that like button if you did, so that the YouTube algorithm knows and will send the videos out to more viewers. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your video feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members do get early access to all of my videos, so be sure to click that join button as well to check out the 3 tiers that I currently have available and decide if any of those are right for you. Again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys had lots of fun, and I'll see you for the next one.